Stone, and we're trying to provide you with resources to understand the world in which you live and maybe to engage with it. Today I'd like to talk to you a little bit more about socialism and the proponents of it. You know, it seems like they're always telling us, well, when they do it, it'll be done right, and we'll get to that grand utopian world where, you know, everything is just gumdrops and lollipops, you know. And so, but let's ask the question, has it ever worked anywhere in the world? You know, last time I spent with you, I talked a little bit about what was going on in Venezuela, and you know, it's a disaster. But we can, you know, we can look at other places. We can look at the former Soviet Union. It was just as big a disaster there. We can look at North Korea. It's a disaster there. China, it was a disaster in China, which is why the Chinese pulled back from hardcore socialism to something less. You know, anywhere in the world where this has been done, it's been a disaster. It's what happens is the goods and services available vanish from the marketplace. The currencies are devalued to the point that hyperinflation takes off and money becomes virtually worthless. Trade, as a result, just collapses upon itself, and people are radically impoverished. And it's a humanitarian disaster of epic proportions everywhere. Well, why would it be different than that? You know, when we ask that question, why would it be different? And invariably, proponents of socialism will point to maybe a Scandinavian country and go, well, it works there. And truth be told, no, it doesn't. You know, democratic socialism is merely the halfway house to socialism, and for good reason. To implement socialist plans, you have to use government force. They have no other tool, there's no other political tool available to central planners, but to force people to follow their plan. Why? Because it's enacted legislatively. You know, democratic socialism, okay, well, we voted on it. Well, that's like saying, okay, we got 100 people in a room, 60 men and 40 women, and the 60 men say, let's vote on whether or not we ought to rape the 40 women. That's pure immorality. Come on. Just because we voted on something does not make something just. Justice is rooted in an objective morality of principle. And simply voting on something and patting ourselves on the back and saying, well, we voted on it, is no excuse. It's no justification for violating the rights of other people. And in this case, the right being violated, of course, is our government begins to act as if it's the grand larcenist, if you will, waiting in back alleys for the citizenry to pass by. And then jumping out with guns and robbing them of their economic wherewithal. I mean, that's what democratic socialism amounts to. As Frederick Bastiat, the 19th century French economist, would say, it's just legalized plunder or legalized theft. And that's all it is. Everyone trying to live at the expense of everyone else. You know, proponents of socialism look at the world, and are there problems in the world in which we live? Absolutely there are. There always have been. But when we begin to act more and more in line with moral principles, then the conditions of life do get better. Do they become perfect? Well, of course not. And to the degree that we chip away at economic freedom, as we've been doing in the United States as well as most every other country around the world, we begin to suffer worse consequences. You know, our welfarism and our corporatism in America, you know, where corporations lobby and line the pockets of all of our politicians to to get legislation passed that would benefit them in particular, or where we make other people absolute dependents upon government, we're drifting down the line of subjection to government, to the state. We're becoming enslaved, and we're becoming serfs. This is what Hayek had in mind when he wrote his book, The Road to Serfdom. And so that's the rising tide. If you really cared about improving the lives of people, what you would advocate for is less government, not more. Anyway, I hope this is helpful for you. Once again, Dr. Paul Cleveland with Boundary Stone. We're trying to provide you with resources to understand your world and to engage with it. I'll talk to you next time.